Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gary, and today I decided I want to start reviewing watches. So, I am going to review one of my most recent purchases, and part of the reason for the review is that as I looked around, a number of reviews on watches are nothing more than the people who sell them reading the manufacturer's description of the watch. So I'm going to do kind of an everyday man's review of this Invicta. This is a 7000 series model, which they call their signature line. In particular, this is a 7045, and they have different versions of this. Now, signature line is kind of an ironic name for this. If it is a signature, it is a forgery, in that this is pretty much a spot-on take on a Rolex Submariner. And it's actually not a bad watch for its price. This is around a $100 watch versus a Submariner, depending on what you get, is in the neighborhood of $15,000. So it looks quite similar to the Submariner in a number of ways. So first, let's talk about some of the things on this watch. It has what they call a flame fusion crystal, which is mineral crystal with a sapphire coating. The concept is that it gives you the strength, shatter resistance of mineral crystal with the scratch resistance of sapphire. I believe Seiko had something like it called Saphix. But I don't know. I guess we could be generous and call it a step above mineral crystal. So a little bit better than mineral crystal. Time will tell. The band is gold plated. And gold plated is different than gold tone. In order to call it gold plated, they call it ion plating, which has to do with the process in which they plate it. But the difference between gold tone and gold plating is there has to be a minimum amount of microns of gold in order to be gold plated. So this is gold plated, although I noticed in the description much of this stuff and inside here is gold tone. So it may have some gold on it, it may not, but it is not as thick as here. And they do make this watch in a couple different configurations. This is the two-tone with the gold. They make all gold. They make it in several colors, white faces, blue faces. This is a black face. They also make them in automatic, which this is, and they make a few of them in quartz. Now, I would recommend the automatic, personally, because, well, this is sort of the Rolex look on a very, very cheap budget, so you might as well at least get the automatic. Now, this movement is an NH36A, which probably means nothing to a lot of you out there, but what that is the latest generation of Seiko automatic movement, and it is a decent movement. It's a good movement. Probably superior in a number of ways. It has hacking. You're probably asking yourself, what is hacking? Well, with a lot of cheaper automatic movements, when you pull out the crown, the seconds hand doesn't stop. But if you want to synchronize your watch and get the exact right time, you need that seconds hand to stop so that you can sync it. And that's called hacking. So this movement has hacking. You can pull out the crown. It's a screw-down crown, by the way, probably for the water resistance. 200 meters, that's, this would be sort of recreational scuba diving appropriate. And it's 21,600 beats per second. So if you look at this, let's see if we can get a focus on it here. If you look at that hand, to put that into perspective, the common Swiss automatic movement that's in a lot of watches and in modified form, even some high-end ones like Omega and Tag use ETA movements. And most of those run at 28,000 beats per hour. I might have said minutes per hour. This runs at 21,600 beats per hour. There's a new Miyota movement that's Japanese that also runs at 28,000. And I believe the Rolex runs at 32,000, if I'm not correct. So the more beats per hour, the more the smoother that hand ticks. Now on a quartz, it would be tick, tick, tick per minute. So this is still a smoother, and the further away you get from them, the smoother it looks. But this is a 21,600 beat per hour watch. It is also automatic only. So that means something as well with the movement here. Sorry for the camera work. Now, what does that mean? So the crown on this particular movement cannot be used to wind the watch. So like on some movements, you can pull them out, wind them with the crown. That is not the case on this movement. It is automatic only. So if it was completely discharged, or the spring was completely unwound, you'd have to pick it up, and then there's a pendulum inside here, and you'd have to shake it. See if I can get a shot of this. You have to shake it a few times to get that pendulum spinning a few times to get a little bit of charge in the spring, and then you'd be ready for action. This is also a display case back, which you see in a couple times here. Overall, it is for $100 for a decent automatic watch that looks so much like a Rolex. This is a fantastic deal. It's not to say it's not without its quirks. One of them is this bezel is pretty hard to turn. Like, while holding the camera with one hand, there, I can barely turn it. So it's a little bit tight. It's a little bit tight, not real easy to turn. And the crown's not too bad. Some people complain. Invicta, they make some ridiculously large watches. I don't know who in their right mind would wear some of those things. But this is a more average, modest-sized watch by their standards. And so the crown doesn't... some people complain with them that the crown digs into their hand. I have not found that to be an issue. My wrist is 7.5 inches, and I've not had that problem. There's a nice little sort of inlay there of Invicta. And my one pet peeve with this watch that I would say is this clasp here. It is a little hard to get on and off. The watch is pretty new. This part's fine, that part there, but this flip around piece, man, I'm not even going to put it on because it's like you got to break your nail to get under there and get it off. But other than that, that's a pretty minor complaint. I suspect as the watch ages, it will become better. This particular model is what they call a day date, so it has the day and the date on it. Some of them just have the date, and then they have what Rolex would call the Cyclops. And the Cyclops is that little magnifier that's there, even looking more like a Rolex. But this is the day date, and it didn't have the Cyclops. I did look at one in the shop that had the Cyclops. I did not get it. I like the Cyclops, but it on the particular one I was looking at, it was on crooked. It was on the crystal crooked, and not terribly crooked, but enough that it would have driven me crazy. So anyway, this is kind of a short impromptu review of the Invicta 7045, and probably a fair review on most of the Invicta 7000 series, because they are quite similar. Primary difference being colors. Some have slightly larger cases. Some of them have quartz movement. But as I said, I'd recommend getting the automatic. If you're trying to have that kind of classic Rolex style of watch. You might as well get an automatic like the Rolex would have been. But yeah, for $100, you can't go wrong. If you're thinking about a Rolex, it's not a bad watch to buy to put on your wrist and see if you like that form factor and if you like that kind of style of watch, and then go out and buy the real one and then wear the fake one when you're going to mow the lawn or whatever. So that's about it for the Invicta 7045 and most of the Invicta series. So thanks for watching, and maybe I'll review one of my other watches.